Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Today is an extremely exciting one because we are previewing the Oxford United versus Lincoln opening day of the season in League One for the two sides, and of course, an exciting weekend upcoming for all football fans here in England. Because of course, the Premier League starts, Championship, I believe, begins as well. Obviously, League One does, and I'm pretty sure League Two does as well. So, an exciting weekend in the world of football for all football fans here in England. Obviously, we are not allowed fans back into stadiums yet. There's potential movement in the decision with the Prime Minister around that. We would love to come back into stadiums. I think everyone would, but at the moment, I can't see it be likely yet. We are sort of on the up, and then we have little down periods. I know as I'm recording this on the Thursday, whether or not this will come out on the Thursday or the Friday, I'm not entirely sure yet. I mean, it doesn't really matter which one it is because the game will either be the day after this comes out, or 2 days. Before, not after, before the game as well. So I'm not entirely sure which one it is. But as I'm recording this on Monday, there is going to be a 6 people restriction, which does sort of tell me we are, we're going downwards a little bit, but hopefully we can get back up there and we can sort this thing out really and get back to normality. Of course, schools and stuff are all opening now as well. So sort of normality sort of coming in the right direction. I understand it's a difficult time for quite a few people. It's a very strange time. Everyone getting their heads back into normality and back into really life, a normal life, which has obviously not been the case for so long. 6 months since a lot of people entered normality, but we're back, and football is back as well, which is an exciting thing as well. Hopefully fans can come back as well, but obviously most important is the world, and how they're going to and how as a world we're going to be able to deal with the next obstacles, I guess, in this pandemic situation we're going through. But hopefully we go back in the right direction. I know it's on a little bit of a downer, but hopefully we can push that back up in the right direction. Schools are back, people are back. It's a difficult one, but football's back, which is fantastic. Hopefully football stays open. It's not open, but stays back for us all to enjoy. That is the main thing this weekend to look forward to. Anyway, let's preview the game for Lincoln versus Oxford. That's why we're here. Lincoln fans, if you're here, can you leave your predictions down below? That would be fantastic. I'll go through them all as well. Oxford fans, of course, leave your predictions down below as well. Thank you very much for the consistent support on the episodes on the podcast as well. They have been absolutely fantastic. I cannot thank you enough for that. The predictions episode has absolutely done so well. I keep getting those comments as well, telling me what you think of my predictions. Some of them are very wrong, some of them are right. We don't know if they're going to be right, we don't know if they're going to be wrong. That's the point of a prediction, but hopefully we can sort of get them in the right area and we can see how well we do. But thank you very much for the continuous support on that as well. And obviously since then we've had the match reaction and the match preview for the Carabao Cup game. We understand it's the Carabao Cup, no disrespect to that competition, but we're all about the league. I'm pretty sure that's not just for any League One sides, not just for Oxford, that's for so many other teams as well. We would love to start the season with a win, and it's no different here at Oxford United because we've got a tough one, an extremely tough one, because we're playing Lincoln City away. I mean, there's arguments about, is it an away game without any home fans and any away fans? It's a difficult one, isn't it? Do you have an advantage if you're playing home? Would you have an advantage whether you're playing away? Do you have a disadvantage if you're playing away? And all that thing as well. Obviously, when fans and the full fan, the full fan feeling and the full fans are back in the stadium, which we would all dream of. When that does happen, of course, there is a sort of home advantage. Of course, there's that disadvantage if you're away as well. However, that is not the case at the moment, as we're all completely aware of. That is not the case at all. So, is this the same as Oxford playing at a neutral ground? Is this the same as Lincoln playing at a neutral ground? Or is it because Oxford have got to travel to Lincoln? Does that make a disadvantage for Oxford? I'm not sure. If you have your opinions on that, leave a comment also down below. Giving your opinion on that, is there a disadvantage as well? But either way, Oxford United are playing Lincoln City, and we have got to travel to Lincoln for the opening game of the season. All I'm going to say is, I'm going to go with the fact that I'm pretty happy not happy because I'd love fans to be there, but I think away from home, I think there is a huge disadvantage, not a huge, a disadvantage for sure if fans or home fans of the team you're playing away are present at the game, and I think them not being present at the game could help Oxford United, and hopefully they do. I really really hope they do because we are desperate to start with a win. And that's the same with Lincoln as well. I'm sure Lincoln would love to have home fans, on their side on Saturday. I think we all would, but Lincoln is going to be a tough opposition as well. I mean, if we're talking about how Oxford started sort of their, we spoke about pre-season, how they started, I guess, their season, not really season, campaign against obviously AFC Wimbledon. Started with a win. It was a penalty shootout, but we've got that winning, that winning edge on some teams as well that maybe didn't win. That's a pretty bad planning on me. I don't actually know how Lincoln got on. I can check now while I'm doing this, but I can tell you though, Oxford United obviously beat Chelsea under 21s. Beat Chelsea under 21s on Tuesday night 2-1. Derek Ossie, of course, scoring the goal. Or scoring a goal because there was two. Dan Adji got the other one as well, which is great. And I think if I'm not wrong, here we are, EFL, they beat, Lincoln did start their season with a win. They played against Crew Alexandra, who are in League 1 this season, of course, after just being promoted from League 2. And they started their season off with a 2-1 win. So they're coming in with a win as well. We're coming in with a win. I mean, you can argue ours wasn't really a win in terms of the EFL Cup. I mean, we won on penalties. If that was a league game, it would be a draw. So they started off their Carabao Cup campaign with a win, so did we, and their Football League trophy, which I actually said there was the Leasing Cup, and I think I'm actually wrong. I'm pretty sure it's now actually called the Checker Trade Trophy. So sorry, Checker Trade Trophy. I've completely got the sponsorship wrong on that competition, completely wrong. However, very similar to how our Carabao Cup campaign started for Lincoln, because in the Football League trophy, the Checker Trade Trophy, Lincoln City beat Scunthorpe on penalties. So they've had a penalty shootout win and an actual win. We've had a penalty shootout win and an actual win as well, just the opposite competitions. In fact, scarily, they won their game 2-1 as well, and so did we obviously win our winning game in those last 2-1 as well. I don't know if I'm making much sense here, to be honest with you. In my head, I'm making sense, but what I'm trying to say is we've got very similar sort of starts to the season as each other, which is going to be very, very interesting. We're both coming into the season with wins in cup competitions, and that is going to help. No one has got that negative mindset in them that they've lost the game in recent games. We've both won, which is going to be very, very interesting. I'm very excited for how this game's going to go as well, because I think that's the main thing as well. Of course, we're going to preview the game. We'll do some analysis and all that sort of thing. We'll go with my predicted lineup, which, spoiler, isn't going to be too different to the Wimbledon one. I mean, you'll be able to see it. It's on either this side of the screen or this side of the screen. I still haven't worked out which one's which, and is that way or is that way? I'm still learning. It's, as you can see, there's not too much of a difference, but the excitement's there. That's the important thing as well. We're all excited. As much as we can sit here and we can analyse all we want and we can talk about the game as much as we want, the main emotion in me is excitement to just see football back on a competitive basis. I mean, Carabao Cup is obviously competitive. It's not a friendly, but it's not the league. It's not League One. I guess it won't be fully the same until fans can come back. I understand that, and I think we all can understand that. But that feeling of League One football and that start of the season excitement that we're all going through as football fans is just so close. And that's my main emotion. Excited, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't want to start with a defeat, but I'm just 90% certain of my emotion of being completely excited for Lincoln's game against Oxford. I keep saying that. It's not a Lincoln podcast, it's an Oxford United podcast. Oxford's difficult test against Lincoln. In terms of team news, early team news as well, I'm not entirely sure about the situation, but I'm pretty sure Cooper is fit and will be will be available for selection against Lincoln. We went through the team in the Carabao Cup preview, it's the same as well. Jack Stevens obviously played in the EFL Trophy win against Chelsea, which is very good, but I think Simon East was going to come in today. I think Elliot Moore and Atkinson will be the main two as well. Obviously, we saw Messini and Nico Jones, the youngster, play in the EFL Trophy. I think that's just a rotation thing. Elliot Moore and Atkinson, 99% sure, will be the centre-back pairing we see on Saturday. Josh Ruffles will play left back if I'm not wrong, and I think Sean Clare will play right back. I'm very, very glad that Josh Ruffles got that rest that he needed. A much needed rest for Josh Ruffles. I was a bit concerned we don't have that cover at left back. I was discussing on the reaction that I think Josh Ruffles needs a rest, and he's got that rest as well now. So I think that's fantastic. I think he's going to be buzzing and fit to play against Lincoln on Saturday. So I can imagine a back line of Sean Clare, who's coming back from suspension, Elliot Moore, Rob Atkinson, and Josh Ruffles. A midfield, I'm believing of Gorin, of course, was picked up an ankle injury, or was it a knee injury? One of the two. So he was not available for selection against Chelsea. I don't think he was going to play anyway, but he wasn't fit. Gorin's, in my opinion, will be coming back. He said he was 100% going to be fit for Saturday. Gorin's going to sit just behind, in my opinion, Brannigan and McGuane, and a front three of Taylor up front. And I'm probably going to have to go Sykesy to start against instead of Cooper. I think Sykes's had more of pre-season than Cooper has, so I'm going to see Sykesy play and James Henry. So very, very strong lineup for Oxford United. The exact same one that played against Wimbledon, of course, in that as well. And obviously a full team rotation against Chelsea, which obviously we won in that game as well, which is fantastic as well. Just repeating myself. There you go. New striker agent has been in this week as well, which is very, very interesting. Will we get that striker in? Of course, Dan Adji and Derek Osui sort of played that sort of, interchange between left wing, and just sort of changed in the in positions throughout the game. Looked pretty decent. But there is a new striker coming into the football club, as we think very, very shortly. The agent has been at Oxford United this week as well, and Carl Robinson seems pretty certain that deal is gonna happen soon. So we could bring a new striker in as well. Good signs and in the right direction, says Carl Robinson in that situation. Good to see. We could get a striker in there as well. I just still think we need a left back, but there you go. I'm not the manager for a reason, obviously. We could be seeing a striker come into the football club. It looks pretty certain. In my opinion, we need that left back cover. But saying that, Lofthouse did a decent job when he came on against Brentford in pre-season, and we know that Sam Long can do a job at left back as well, so that's good. And the fact that I'm pretty sure, because Sean Clare didn't play in the trophy and Sam Long played another game in those cup competitions, that makes me pretty certain to see that Sean Clare will be playing against Lincoln as well. So I'm pretty certain with my lineup. The only thing I could potentially see is if Gorin maybe isn't fit to play, we could see someone else come in there. But he was 100% said he was going to be fit. And maybe Cooper instead of Sykes, but to be honest with you, I think Sykes, he's done well in pre-season. I think he deserves a start for this first game of the season. In terms of the match preview, in terms of Carl Robinson's chat, he basically just stressed the fact we need fans back in the football stadium. Of course we do. We've mentioned that already in this episode of the podcast. We've missed the classic Oxford United weekend feeling, the Oxford cycle, as I think I'm going to call it, because that excitement come the end of the weekend as school, work, college, whatever you're doing during the week, as that sort of draws to a close on Friday, and you're just in the back of your head, and don't lie, I certainly get it, the back of your mind, whether it's an Oxford fan or whatever, in fact, it shouldn't be the Oxford cycle, it should just be the football fan cycle. It's just when the back of your mind, you just know you're going to play, you're going to watch your team play on Saturday at 3 o'clock, or maybe even earlier, or maybe it's a late kickoff, but at 3 o'clock, that's the feeling on Saturday. You get home, and you're like, what does the weekend hold for us? What are we going to do this weekend? And you just look over, you see those tickets for the Saturday game at 3 o'clock, and you're going to the game, and that excitement that you get. And then on Sunday, of course, you talk about it. You might even be playing football on Sunday League. You talk about it to your mates. Like, did you go to the game? You might have gone together. You still talk about the game, this player, that player. How did you get on? The emotion of the game. All that good stuff as well. And the thing I love the most, when you get out of the stadium, you put on the radio and you just listen to the reaction, the interviews and all that stuff as well. It's just that cycle we just are missing as football fans at the moment, and we desperately want back. Or I certainly do as well. Fans are the heartbeat of Oxford United, the fans of every football club, and I think if the fans didn't realise and the club didn't realise how important fans are, I think this is a certain opportunity to realise how important they are as well. Fans are so important in running a football club, and not just running a football club, but enjoying a football club, and without them, it is horrific. And I'm a fan myself, and I'm sure what people are saying, and the players and the manager and all that, they are not too happy about not having fans. So hopefully we can get back into the stadium as quickly as possible. That's what I want. I'm sure that's what everyone else wants. I'm sure that's what other fans want as well. But of course, it's got to be safe first. Of course, obviously. In terms of the main preview for the game as well, obviously I mentioned that Lincoln will be a side to watch this season. I mentioned that in my preview. Thanks for the support on that as well. Good business and a quality manager that is going and is want to be competing at the highest level in League One. Of course they are. They're going to want to get into the highest possible places they possibly can at in League One. Quality manager Carl Robinson, Michael Appleton. What he did for Oxford United was fantastic. He got us from League Two to League One. He got us in that right place. Got it when he left, but we brought in Carlson now, and he's just signed a 4-year contract as well, which is very, very. It's 4 years, a long time. Very, very happy that he signed a long-term contract at Oxford as well. There was some, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Is this the end for Carl Robinson? It's not. He's staying, people, which is very, very exciting. But in terms of Michael Appleton, we know what he can do as a manager. He's a top quality manager. He wants to play football with his sides. He wants to play an attacking, entertaining game of football. That's what he brought to Oxford. Similar to what Carl brings as well. And this is very exciting. It's going to prove a very, very difficult game as well. Obviously, we can talk about the 6-0 win we got away from home against Lincoln. I'm not going to lie, we are going to mention it. We hammered them. That was in between transition, obviously Lincoln not having a manager as well. They'd lost their duo as managers as well, and they were sort of in position and sort of in the sort of question mark area of who was going to bring the manager. Maybe, actually, no, they weren't, actually. Michael Appleton was actually watching that game, which is quite embarrassing if you lose 6-0 at home. It wasn't great. For them, great for us, and you could tell instantly as soon as obviously Lincoln came to Oxford United into the Kassam. It was a difficult game, such a tough game. We won the game. We did win the game 1-0, but it was a difficult one, an extremely difficult game. It was a very, very hard fought out victory, but we got the win. But you could already tell the implement and the way that Michael Appleton was trying to get his side already, and that just shows how much of a quality manager that man is. We know what he can do. He's a great manager. He's done it at Oxford, and I'm sure for Lincoln they're going to be hopeful they can do it for them as well. The last game that we obviously was that 1-0, and it was a difficult game. That was the game that I'm pretty sure Baptiste scored that absolute worldie, and they should have had a penalty in the last minute when John Messinio just absolutely rugby tackled their player down in the penalty box with about 3 minutes to go. So they probably should have lost that. We probably should have drawn that game. Well, they might have missed the penalty, but I think we all looked at each other. When the fans just sort of look at each other and sort of not gasp, but just sort of go, just look at the ref, and he just sort of, does that thing with his hand when he goes, get up, and you're like, we've got away with it. And that was exactly that situation. But that's the way it is. Maybe it wasn't a penalty. Maybe just from us it looked quite dodgy. But I watched it in the highlights, remember, and I definitely didn't think it was a great challenge from John Messinio. But you never know. We never know what the ref saw anyway. But we won the game 1-0. A good win, of course. And we're very, very happy with that. Before then, though, we did actually lose 5 times in a row against Lincoln. So we haven't had the best record against them in the last in the last game before those last 3 that we've won. Of course, we actually beat them 2-1 as well before that 6-0 humiliation for them as well at home. So positive things for Oxford United in pre-season, positive things off the pitch as well in recent days. Positivity all round Oxford, which is very, very good, and positivity in the fan base because the season starts as well. I'm sure Lincoln fans will be excited. I'm sure they're going to be ready for the Oxford United test ahead of them. I'm certainly ready for the Lincoln test as well. I'm not going to be, biased and in that sense of we're going to smash them. We're not going to smash them. It'd be great if we could, but I don't think we are. They're a very, very good side, and I keep sort of taking that advantage of we are away, even though, we are away, but there's no fans there, which makes it difficult to sort of decide whether there's a disadvantage or not. But it's an away game. We're going to have to travel there. and I just hope we get the 3 points. In terms of my prediction, I'm not gonna lie. I actually planned my predict. I actually like to plan the preview, and I like to write the sort of my prediction on there. And I haven't done that because I said to myself that I'm going to completely make it up the more I'm sort of naturally swaying in the podcast. So if I'm sort of swaying towards I think we're going to win, I'll make a prediction since we're going to win. But if I feel like it's going to be a really difficult one, I'll make my prediction at the end of the podcast, deciding whether or not what I generally think is going to happen, because it's not going to be. I want to make it a prediction and not what I want to be. I want to win 5-0, but it's not going to happen. I predicted us to beat Wimbledon 2-0. That wasn't going to happen. It could have happened, but it didn't, is what I'm trying to say. So I want to be realistic, of course I do. I want to be, honest with what I'm feeling. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. I can see us drawing the game. It's the sort of match that we're going to draw. If it's going to be a draw, we're going to score. There will be goals. So if it's a draw, it's either going to be 1-1 or 2-2. This is proving. It's completely off the top of my head. I'm going to make a decision. I think we're going to win. If we win, it's going to be 1-0, and it's going to be so tight, or it's going to be 2-1. Final decision. I'm going to go 1-0 Oxford United. It's not going to be a pretty game. It's not going to be a pretty game. It's going to be a very hard, fought-out game. It's going to be two sides that want to play football. It's going to make it a good game. But it's going to be a very difficult one for Oxford and a difficult one for Lincoln, I'm sure, as well. That is my prediction. That's my predicted lineup on the left or the right. I don't know. It should be that side. Is it that side? It's not. It's going to be that side. Or maybe it's that side. Not a clue. What am I talking about? But no, I think it's going to be a difficult game. Both two teams are going to want to play football. I've just said that. It's going to be an interesting one. You can watch the game, of course. At home. Unfortunately, of course, I'm pretty sure it is going to be on iFollow. Of course, that'll be for Oxford on Oxford United's website as well. That's how we're going to have to watch the game at home. We can't be at the stadium, of course. This podcast has been mainly just about how we wish that fans can come back in the stadiums, but unfortunately, that probably is not possible yet. Hopefully, it is soon, but we can only fingers crossed and hope for that to happen very, very soon as well. I'm pretty sure I read, I should have this still open, that fans returning to stadium in Scotland have been delayed until the 5th of October, which, it's not looking great, is it? If we're delaying things, sort of delaying fans into stadiums before England have even thought about whether or not even put a date on when we thought we were going to get back into a stadium, something's telling me this could be a difficult one. The first month, of course, is going to be very, 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 very interesting to see how it goes. Hopefully we see that decrease in the way that the pandemic and everything's going. I don't really want to talk about COVID-19 and the pandemic too much on the podcast. It's a football podcast, but, it's so prominent at the moment and has been for so long that we just can't help but talk about it when we're talking about football. Hopefully we see that decrease, and then we can hopefully see fans come back into the stadium as soon as possible. That's what we want, fingers crossed. And I'm sure I'm speaking for all fans as well. Unless you're a fan that loves sitting there watching it in your lounge, or in your living room, or in your bedroom, or wherever, or just sit at home generally. I don't know why I was specifically naming houses or rooms in your house. If you enjoy watching it at home, then maybe that's the thing for you. But if I'm talking from myself, and I'm talking for quite a few football fans as well, and for football clubs, it would be great if we could have fans back in the stadium. That's what we want. But thank you very much for listening to the preview of this episode of the podcast, Lincoln versus Oxford United this Saturday. We're excited. We're a little bit nervous, but mostly excited. Saturday the 12th of course, September. 3 o'clock kickoff at Lincoln. It's going to be a difficult one as well. The LNER Stadium is where it is. Michael Appleton, of course, the manager there as well. The old manager comes up against us. The Imps will have surely want to make it difficult for Oxford United. It's going to be a difficult test, Oxford. So can we please start the season with a win? That would be fantastic as well. If you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast, leave a like on the episode. That would be much appreciated. Subscribe as well. I've got Twitter, people. I haven't got Twitter. The podcast has got Twitter, but I guess I got Twitter. I made the Twitter account for the podcast. If you want that, it's probably going to be a link in the description. If there's not a link in the description, because for some reason it doesn't work, it's definitely in the banner. It already is in the banner of the podcast on YouTube as well. Just click on that and give that a follow as well. I'm going to be basically just talking about football on there as well, as now the season starts as well. That's the same on the Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to the Instagram, what are you doing? Subscribe to the Instagram. I mean, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel of the podcast, but you can also follow the Instagram page as well. That would be absolutely great. And you know, it's another way of showing your support as well. Thank you very much for the support on the podcast. It is growing. We are in the right direction. Thank you very much for that. Have a good rest of... It depends when it comes out. If it's a Thursday, have a good rest of your Thursday and have a good Friday. If this is coming out on Friday, which I'm looking at the time, it probably will be Friday. Have a good evening on Friday and get excited, because at 3 o'clock on Saturday, all your teams are playing again. I think there's an early kick-off on the Premier League. So, you know, if you've got a Premier League side, I've not a clue who the early kick-off at the Premier League, if there is one. You're excited for Saturday for the Premier League and football starting again. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. It's been a good one, and I'll see you later.